Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك آمين. Today we will start Surah Taha. This is a Makki Surah having 135 ayat in it, verses in it. Today we'll do the first part of the surah. Inshallah we will complete this surah in 3 parts. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Taha, Haruf Muqattaat. Ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'ana litashqa. We have not revealed the Qur'an to you to cause your difficulty. Illa tazkiratan liman yaksha. However, it is advice for him who fears. تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات الأولى. Revealed from him who created the earth and the lofty skies. Ar-Rahmanu alal arshi istawa. Rahman has focused on the throne. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard wa ma bainahuma wa ma tahta thara. To him belongs whatever is in the heavens, whatever is in the earth, whatever is between the two, and whatever is beneath the clay. وَإِن تَجْهَرْ بِالْقَوْلِ فَإِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ وَأَخْفَى. Even if you speak loudly, he knows what is whispered and all that is even more hidden. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa lahul asma'ul husna. Allah is such that there is no deity beside him. His are the most beautiful names. Okay, Malumat-e-Tanzil, Volume 3, page 211 reports from the commentator Kalbi Rahmullah that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to exert himself greatly when the revelation of the Quran began. He would exhaust himself so much that he was forced to lean sometimes on the right leg and sometimes on the left leg when performing salah. He used to spend the entire night in salah. It was for this reason that Allah revealed the verse, "We have not revealed the Quran to you to cause you difficulty." According to another narration, the verse was revealed when the mushrikeen, after witnessing this exertion, told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it seems like this Quran was revealed to cause you difficulty." Other commentators have interpreted the verse to mean that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam need not grieve over those who reject the Quran. According to this interpretation, the verse will resemble the 6th verse of Surah Kahf, where Allah says, "It should not be that you destroy yourself after them in grief because they do not believe in this subject, the Quran." Narrated by Ruhul Mani, Volume 16, page 149. However, it is advice for him who fears Allah. Although the Quran was revealed for all of mankind, it makes no difference whether they listen to the Quran or not. They will never believe. Allah says in Surah Yasin, "You can warn only him who follows the advice and fears Rahman without seeing him." Surah number is 36 and the verse number is 11. Allah says further that the Quran is revealed from Him who created the earth and the lofty skies. Rahman has focused on the throne. A detailed discussion on Allah's rising to the throne was discussed in the commentary of verse 54 of Surah Araf, where Allah says, "Undoubtedly your Rabb is Allah, who has created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and then rose to the throne. To him belong whatever is in the heavens, whatever is in the earth, whatever is between the two, the whatever is beneath the clay." Ruhul Mani quotes Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu as saying that whatever is beneath the clay refer to whatever is beneath the seventh earth. The hadiths and verses of the Quran attest to the presence of seven earths. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu reports from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that the person who usurps even a hand's span worth of land shall have the seven earths as a yoke around his neck on the day of Qiyamah, narrated by Bukhari. Another narration of Bukhari states that the person who usurps the land of another will be sunk below the seven earths. According to the narration of Ahmad, if a person um, uh, if a person usurps, I don't know what the word is, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. The spellings are USURPS. The amounts of hands span, he will be made to dig until he reaches the end of the seventh earth. Then this shall be placed as a yoke around his neck until all the people have been judged on the day of Qiyamah, narrated by Mishkat, page 286. Even if you speak loudly, he knows what it whispered, and all that is even more hidden. Allah is even aware of the unspoken thoughts that the hearts conceive. This meaning is revealed by the fact that Allah uses the word knows instead of hears. Allah is such that there is no deity besides Him. His are the most beautiful names. These various names denotes His excellent attributes and perfection. The discussion of Allah's names was discussed in verse 179 of Surah Araf and at the end of Surah Bani Israel, and the number of Surah is 17 in the Quran. Now I'll recite from verse number 9 till 24. Wahal ataka hadithu Musa, has not the story of Musa came to you? Is ra'a naran faqala li ahlihim kusu inni anastu naran la'alli atikum minha bikabasin aw ajidu alan nari huda. When he saw a fire and said to his wife, wait, I perceive a fire, perchance I may bring to you a brand from there, or I may find some guide at the fire. Falamma ataha nudiya ya Musa. When he came to the fire, it was announced, O Musa, Inni ana rabbuka fakhla na layka innaka bilwadil muqaddasi tuwa. Verse number is 12. I am indeed your Rabb, so remove your shoes, for you are upon the pure plains of Tuwa. وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى. I have selected you, so hearken to what is being revealed. إِنَّنِي أَنَا اللَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِلذِّكْرِ. Verily I am Allah, there is no deity besides me, so worship me and establish salah for my remembrance. Inna sa'ata atiyatan akadu ukhfiha litujza kullu nafsin bima tas'a. Qiyamah is undoubtedly near. I shall conceal it so that every soul can be granted retribution for its efforts. فَلَا يَسُدَّنَّكَ عَنْهَا مَنْ لَا يُؤْمِنُ بِهَا وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ فَتَرْضَى. Therefore, the person who does not believe in it and who follows his carnal passions should never forbid you from it, causing you to be destroyed. وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا مُوسَى. What is that in your right hand, O Musa? قَالَ هِيَ أَسَى أَتَوَكَّأُ عَلَيْهَا وَأَهُشُّ بِهَا عَلَى غَنَمِي وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. He replied, it is my stuff on which I lean, but beat down leaves for my goats to graze on, and I have many other uses for it. Qala alqiha ya Musa. Verse number is 19. Allah said, throw it down, O Musa. فألقاها فإذا هي حية تسعى. So he threw it down, and suddenly it was a slithering snake. قال خذها فلا تخف سنعيدها سيرتها الأولى. Allah said, grab hold of it and do not be afraid. We shall soon return it to its former state. وَاضْمُمْ يَدَكَ إِلَى جَنَاحِكَ تُخْرُجْ بَيْضَاءَ مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوءٍ آيَاتٌ أُخْرَى. Verse number 22. And thrust your hand into your side, it shall emerge shining, without any defect. This is the second sign. لِنُرِيَّكَ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا الْكُبْرَى, so that we may show you some of our magnificent signs. اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to Fir'aun, he is indeed rebellious. As was mentioned previously, the 12 sons of Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, including those of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, settled in Egypt. Their progeny grew from then, but the Coptic Egyptians always persecuted them. Eventually, Allah raised Hazrat Musa alayhi salam among them. He grew up in the house of Fir'aun, and after inadvertently killing a Copt, fled to Madian. There he married and lived for 10 years. The above verses of Surah Taha describes the time when Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was returning with his wife to Egypt. This episode is also narrated in Surah Namal and Surah Qasas. It was during winter that they traveled, and it so happened that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam lost the road. Thereafter he noticed a fire burning from the direction of Mount Tur. Recounting this epic, Allah says, has not the story of Musa come to you when he saw a fire and said to his wife, wait, I perceive a fire, perchance I may bring to you a brand from there to warm yourself, or I may find some guide at the fire. This verse shows that a person should provide for the needs of his family together with his own needs. Because Allah intended to appoint him as a Nabi, when he came to the fire, it was announced by Allah, O Musa, I am indeed your Rabb. So remove your shoes, for you are upon the pure plain of Tuwa. Hazrat Abdullah bin Masud ta'ala says that his shoes were impure because they were made from the untreated skin of a donkey. Hazrat Mujahid and Ikrama Rahmullah are of the opinion, and Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was commanded to remove his shoes so that the pure and holy sand of Tuwa may touch his feet. Malumat-e-Tanzil, Volume 3, page 213. Allah continued to address him, saying, I have selected you, so hearken to what is being revealed. Verily, I am Allah. There is no deity besides me, so worship me and establish Salah for my remembrance. Although Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was a mu'min from before, Allah intended to fortify his belief. Allah also told him, Qiyamah is undoubtedly near. I shall conceal it so that every soul can be granted retribution for its efforts. Therefore, the person who does not believe in it and who follows his carnal passions should never forbid you from it, causing you to be destroyed. Allah merely intended to warn him, even though it was impossible that any deviant person should influence any Nabi. Since Allah wanted Hazrat Musa alayhi salam to preach to Fir'aun, He guaranteed him 2 miracles with which he could prove his apostleship to Fir'aun and his people. Describing these, Allah says that He asked, what is that in your right hand, O Musa? Hazrat Musa alayhi salam replied, it is my stuff. Instead of sufficing with his reply, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam seized the golden opportunity of speaking to Allah and added, on which I lean, beat down leaves for my goats to graze on, and I have many other uses for it. Allah said, "Throw it down, O Musa." So he threw it down, and suddenly it was a slithering snake. Seeing this, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam withdrew, but Allah told him, "Grab hold of it and do not be afraid. We shall soon return it to its former state." Thereupon Hazrat Musa alayhi salam held the snake and Allah transformed it back into a staff. This was the first miracle sign for Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Thereafter Allah describes the second when he says, "And thrust your hand into your side. It shall emerge shining, without any defect, that is, without any suffering from white liver, etc." This is the second sign. Allah then told Hazrat Musa alayhi salam that He had granted him these two miracles so that we may show you some of our magnificent signs. Thereafter Allah commanded him, saying, "Go to Pharaoh, he is indeed rebellious." Allama Baghawi Rahmullah states in Malumat-e-Tanzil, volume 3, page 213, that commentators say that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam mistook the Noor, celestial light of Allah, for fire. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Ikrama Rahmullah, and others all hold the view that the light that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam saw was Allah's Noor, celestial light. Hazrat Abu Musa Ashari radiallahu ta'ala anhu reports from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that Allah's veil is Noor and that His brilliance would shine whatever the eye can see if it is exposed to the world, narrated by Muslim. Some commentators have mentioned that the Noor that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam saw was the Noor of Allah's veil. Ruhul Mani reports, volume 16, page 126, from Musnad of Ahmad, that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam saw an extremely strange light at Tawa. He saw what appeared to be a fire engulfing a tree. However, the tree was totally unaffected and not a single branch or leaf was burned. In fact, the beauty and bloom of the tree was enhanced by the fire. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam then waited for a flame so that he could take it with him. However, this did not happen. He then placed some grass near it, expecting it to light, but to no avail. According to some narrations, the fire leapt forward, causing him to recede. It was then that Allah addressed him. Allah instructed Hazrat Musa alayhi salam with the words, "Established Salah for my remembrance." This emphasizes the importance of Salah and also tells us that the previous Anbiya alayhi salam were also enjoined with the performance of Salah. In verse 37 of Surah Ibrahim, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam supplicated to Allah, saying, "O our Rabb, I have settled my children in a valley that cannot be cultivated, close to your sacred house, O our Rabb," so that they established Salah. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam also made the dua, "O my Rabb, make me one who establishes Salah and my progeny as well. O my Rabb, accept my prayers." Verse number is 40. Salah is the most important facet of Islam after Iman and is first when ill or healthy or on journey and at home. As long as one is conscious, Salah is the only act of worship that requires the azan, and Salah is a remembrance of Allah from beginning to end. Every part of the body is engaged in Allah's supervision and submission during Salah. The hands, tongue, eyes, etc. Salah was the first injunction to be ordained and shall be the first to be asked about the day of Qiyamah. The heart should be attentive and submissive to Allah during Salah so as to comply with the dictates of established Salah for my remembrance. When Salah is performed correctly, the heart and soul desire to perform it and do not consider it a burden. Upon reaching Madian, a pious old man married Hazrat Musa alayhi salam to his daughter on condition that he grazed the old man's goats for 8 or 10 years. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam did the work for 10 years. Hazrat Utbah bin Nazar Raziallah ta'ala anhu reports that some Sahaba Raziallah ta'ala anhum came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he recited Surah Qasas to them. When he reached the incident of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam hired himself out of 8 or 10 years to safeguard his chastity and to fill his stomach. Narrated by Mashkat, page 218. All the Anbiya alayhi salam graced goats. The wisdom of this is that a person has to endure many difficulties in the process and gain experience with working with the weak. Goats have to be treated with patience and cannot be beaten because of their weakness. They have to be retrieved when they flee and then treated gently. Goats are humble creatures and will not attack a person. It is for this reason that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam permitted people to perform salah in a goat's enclosure and prohibited performing salah in a camel's pen, narrated by Mishkat. The Anbiya alayhi salam gained invaluable experience when grazing goats, which helped them tremendously when dealing with people. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam once told the Sahaba raziyallahu ta'ala anhum that every Nabi sent by Allah grazed goats. They asked, "You too, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam?" Yes, was the reply. I grazed the goats of Makkans and received a few kirat as wages. Narrated by Bukhari, volume 1, page 301. A kirat is a fraction of silver that was equivalent to the weight of 4 grains of barley. The Quran uses these words when describing the transformation of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam's staff. The word soban, a large serpent, haya, a normal snake, and jan, a thin snake, are used. Some people have objected to this seeming discrepancy. However, it will be noticed that there is no inconsistency at all. The word soban is used only when describing the transformation of the stuff in the presence of Pharaoh, since it appeared as a large serpent only before him. On the occasion of Tuwa, Surah Taha describes the reptile as Hayya, while Surah Namal and Surah Qasas depict it as a Jan. There is no discrepancy between these two verses because the word Haya would refer to any size of snake, even one that is a Jan, a thin snake. The third occasion that the stuff is mentioned is when it was transformed as Hazrat Musa alayhi salam contested the magician in Surah Araf, Surah Taha, and Surah Shura. When describing this scene, one of the above 3 words are used. Therefore, there can be no objection there. Now I'll recite from verse number 25 till 36. Qala Rabbi shrah li sadri. Musa alayhi salam said, O my Rabb, reveal my mind. Wa yassir li amri, make my task easy. Wahlul uqdatam min lisani, and untie the knot on my tongue. Yafkahu qawli, so that they may understand my speech. Verse number 29, Waj'alli waziram min ahli, appoint for me an assistance from my family. Haruna akhi, my brother Harun. Ishdud bihi azri. Verse is 31, strengthen me with him. Wa ashrikhu fi amri, and make him a partner to my affairs. Kasira, so that we may glorify you abundantly. Now, verse number 34. وَنَذْكُرَكَ كَثِيرًا, and remember you in abundance. إِنَّكَ كُنْتَ بِنَا بَصِيرًا, undoubtedly you are ever watchful over us. قَالَ قَدْ أُوتِيتَ سُؤْلَكَ يَا Musa. Allah said, you have been granted your request, O Musa. When Allah entrusted Hazrat Musa alayhi salam with the task of preaching to Fir'aun, he entreated Allah thus, O my Rabb, reveal my mind. Allah addresses Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in Surah Nasr, saying, have we not revealed your mind? Peace of mind is an extremely great blessing from Allah and is absolutely necessary to encourage a person to fulfill his task. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam also prayed to Allah saying, make my task easy and untie the knot on my tongue so that they may understand my speech. Some commentators have mentioned that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was born with a stutter. Others say that as a child he once tugged at Pharaoh's beard. This happened while he was living in Pharaoh's palace. It then occurred to Pharaoh that this may be the very child who was expected to ruin Pharaoh's empire. He therefore intended to kill the child. His wife intervened by telling Pharaoh that the child was behaving just like any other and the tugging at his beard should not be constructed as being that every child regarding whom the above prophecy was made. Then they decided to test the intelligence of the child by placing burning coals and jewels before him. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam took a coal and placed it in his mouth, causing his tongue to burn. Although the wound healed, the injury caused him to stutter. Some commentators have mentioned that Allah did not cause the stuttering handicap to the completely cured before, because Hazrat Musa alayhi salam added the phrase so that they may understand my speech. Therefore, some degree of stuttering was still apparent, because of which Pharaoh used to say, am I not better than this person who is ignoble and can hardly express himself? Of course, it is possible that Pharaoh said this out of sheer obstinacy. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam also supplicated to Allah saying, appoint for me an assistance from my family. He then stipulated who the aid should be when he said, my brother Harun, strengthen me with him and make him a partner to my affairs. It was in response to this dua that Hazrat Harun alayhi salam was also made a Nabi. Allah quotes Hazrat Musa alayhi salam in Surah Qasas, my brother Harun is more eloquent in speech than me, so send him as an aid to me, to endorse me. I fear that they will falsify me. Allah accepted his dua and said, we shall shortly strengthen your arm with your brother and grant the two of you a power in the presence of which they will never reach you. The two of you and those who follow you will be victorious with our signs. Surah Qasas, verse number 35. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam requested Allah for the support of Hazrat Harun alayhi salam, and he added, so that we might glorify you abundantly and remember you in abundance. If every person engage in Allah's dhikr, they will serve to remind each other without having to tell each other. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam concluded the dua by saying, undoubtedly, you are ever watchful over us. He understood that Allah would be with them every step of the way. Allah said, you have been granted your request, O Musa. Allah thus made Hazrat Harun alayhi salam a Nabi, and Hazrat Musa alayhi salam joined him in Egypt. Now I'll recite from verse number 37 till 40. Okay, 3 verses we have now. وَلَقَدْ مَنَنَّا عَلَيْكَ مَرَّةً أُخْرَى. We have indeed showered favors upon you a second time. Is أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّكَ مَا يُوحَىٰ. When we inspired your mother with what she was inspired. نكذي فيه في التابوت فاكذي فيه في اليم فليلقه اليم بالساحل يأخذه الدو لي وعدو له وألقيت عليك محبة مني ولتصنع على عيني. Verse number 39. That place him in a box, then cast the box into the river. The river will wash him on to the bank, to be taken by the enemy and his enemy. I have cast on you love from me, and so that you may grow up under my supervision. استمشي أختك فتقول هل أدلكم على ما يكفل فرجعناك إلى أمك كي تكر عينها ولا تحزن وقتلت نفسا فنجيناك من الغم وفتنك فتونا. When your sister arrived walking, and she said, should I not show you who can care for him? So we returned you to your mother, so that her eyes may be cooled and she may not grieve. Then you killed a person, and we saved you from grief, and I tried you with many trials. You stayed several years with the people of Madian, and then, O Musa, you have arrived to an appointed time. فَلَبِثْتَ سِنِينَ فِي أَهْلِ مَدْيَنَ ثُمَّ جِئْتَ عَلَى قَدَرٍ يَا مُوسَى. So here we completed the verse, and the number of the verse is 40. Pharaoh and the Egyptians refused to allow the Bani Israel to leave Egypt so that they could be relieved of their tyranny. It once occurred that Pharaoh's fortune teller told him that a child will be born among the Bani Israel who would destroy his empire. As a result of this, Pharaoh had every newborn baby of Bani Israel killed. When Hazrat Musa was born, his mother was overly concerned about her child and did not know what to do. Allah thus inspired her to place him in a box, then cast the box into the river. The river will wash him on to the bank, to be taken by my enemy and his enemy. According to a verse of Surah Qasas, Allah told his mother, neither fear nor grieve. We shall certainly return him to you and make him from the obstacles. When the box washed up on to the river bank adjoining Pharaoh's palace, his wife spotted it and found the child inside. Allah says in Surah Qasas, so the family of Pharaoh picked him up to be an enemy and source of grief for them. Pharaoh feared that the child was the very same one who would destroy his kingdom, and wished to kill the child. However, his wife said to him, a coolness for my eyes and yours, do not slay him. Perchance he may benefit us, and we may adopt him as a son. Because it is believed that Pharaoh did not have any children. Verse number 8, Surah Qasas, and the number of the surah is 28 in the Quran. I have cast on you love from me. Allah made Hazrat Musa alayhi salam beloved to all people. Whoever saw the young Musa alayhi salam would want to take him upon their laps. Therefore, Pharaoh agreed to his wife's proposal, even though he still sensed the possibility of the child being the one that he was warned about. Allah reminds Hazrat Musa alayhi salam further, and so that you may grow up under my supervision, while Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was being adopted by Pharaoh's wife. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam's mother was extremely worried about her child. She was so perturbed that she was close to disclosing the secret if Allah had not strengthened her heart. Verse 9 of Surah Qasas states, the heart of Musa's mother was restless. She would never almost reveal his condition if we had not strengthened her heart to be from those who with conviction. Therefore she sent her daughter to see where the box went. followed her mother's instruction, she saw how her brother was taken into the palace of Fir'aun. However, the people of the palace were unaware of her presence, as Allah says in verse 10 of Surah Qasas. So she spied on him from afar without their knowledge. When Pharaoh tried to get the child to suckle, as Musa alayhis salam refused to suckle from every woman that was brought for the purpose. Eventually, Hazrat Musa alayhis salam's sister appeared and said, "Should I not show you a family who will care for him on your behalf and who will dote on him?" She then called for her mother, from whom the child suckled with great joy. Pharaoh then allowed her to raise the child and stipulated remuneration for the service. In this way, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was returned to his mother. Allah says, "So we returned you to your mother so that her eyes may be cool and she may not grieve." Allah relates the incident in Surah Qasas in the following words: "We forbade all wet nurses to them from before, and she, Musa alayhis salam's sister, told them, 'Should I not show you a family who will care for him on your behalf and who will dote on him?' So we returned him to his mother so that her eyes be cool and so that she may not grieve, and so that she may know that Allah's promise is true. But most of them do not know." Verse number 11 and 12. After reminding Hazrat Musa alayhis salam of the favor that he was blessed with during his childhood, Allah reminded him of certain other favors. Consequently, Allah says, "Then you killed a person and we saved you from grief and tried you with many trials." The detail of this will be mentioned in the commentary of verse 15 to 21 of Surah Qasas. However, the following brief facts will be cited here. When Hazrat Musa alayhis salam grew up, he told the people that he was from the Bani Israel and that Pharaoh was not his father. It transpired one day that he noticed a Copt fighting with a person from the Bani Israel. The person from the Bani Israel called Hazrat Musa alayhis salam to help him. Hazrat Musa alayhis salam punched the Copt, but the punch killed him by mistake. Hazrat Musa alayhis salam was extremely upset by this. However, no one found out how the person was killed. The next day, Hazrat Musa alayhis salam again saw the same person from the Bani Israel fighting with another Copt. When Hazrat Musa alayhis salam again came to his assistance, the person of Bani Israel thought that Hazrat Musa alayhis salam was going to assault him. Therefore, he called out, "O Musa, do you wish to kill me like you killed the person yesterday?" Verse number 19. When the news spread that Hazrat Musa alayhis salam killed the Copt, the ministers decided to kill Hazrat Musa alayhis salam in return. Fortunately, Hazrat Musa alayhis salam was warned by someone to escape from the town. Hazrat Musa alayhis salam then left for Madian, where he stayed for a while. Referring to this, Allah says, "You stayed several years with the people of Madian, and then, O Musa, you have arrived to an appointed time." Now let's see the verses from 41 till 48. وَاسْتَنَعْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي, I chose you for myself. اذهب أنت وأخوك بآياتي ولا تني في ذكري. You and your brother should go with my signs and should not be lax in my remembrance. اذهبا إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Proceed, the two of you, to Pharaoh. Indeed, he is rebellious. فقولا له قولا لينا لعله يتذكر أو يخشى. Speak to him in gentle words, perchance he may take heed or fear. Verse number 45. قال ربنا إننا نخاف أن يفرط علينا أو أن يطغى. They said, O our Rabb, we truly fear that he would be defiant or rebel against us. قال لا تخافا إنني معكما أسمع وأرى. Allah said, have no fear, for verily I am with you, hearing and seeing. Verse number 47. فأتياه فقولا إنا رسول ربك فأرسل معنا بني إسرائيل ولا تؤذبهم قد جئناك بآيات من ربك والسلام على من اتبع الهدى. Go to him and say, we are indeed two messengers of our Rabb, so send the Bani Israel with us, and do not torment them. We have come to you with a sure sign from your Rabb. May peace be on those who follow the guidance. Inna kad uhiya ilayna anna al-azaba ala man kadhaba wa tawalla. It has been revealed to us that punishment shall be for those who falsify and turn away. Earlier on, Allah um, told Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, I have selected you, so hearken to what is being revealed. Here Allah reiterates by saying, I chose you for myself. This was indeed an extremely great favor of Allah upon Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Thereafter, Allah goes on to tell him, you and your brother should go with my signs and should not be lax in my remembrance. Proceed, the two of you, to Pharaoh. Indeed, he is rebellious. Allah advises them further, speak to him in gentle words, even though he may be harsh, because perchance he may take heed to what is said to him, or fear me. This teaches people of the people that dawah, calling people towards Allah, should be given with the patience and tolerance because it is more effective. Expressing their fears, they said, O our Rabb, we truly fear that we would be defiant or rebel against us. Allah reassured them by saying, have no fear, for verily I am with you, hearing and seeing. Go to him and say, we are indeed two messengers of our Rabb, so send the Bani Israel with us, and do not torment them. And to substantiate our claim to Nabihood, we have come to you with a sure sign from our Rabb, that is the miracle of the staff and the shining hand. Allah also commanded them to encourage Pharaoh by telling him, may peace be on those who follow the guidance. He was also to be warned with the words, it has been revealed to us that punishment shall be for those who falsify and turn away. These verses emphasize the fact that a preacher should give people glad tidings as well as warning. It is not permissible to greet the kuffar with the word Assalamu alaikum. Therefore, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam opened his letter addressed to Heraclius with the words, may peace be on those who follow the guidance. Narrated by Bukhari, volume 1, page 5. Surah Naziyat states that Allah said to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and Hazrat Harun alayhi salam, go to Pharaoh, for verily he is rebellious. Tell him, have you any desire to purify yourself and that I guide you to your Rabb so that you fear him? Verses are 17 till 19. Now we'll see from verse number 49 till 55. قَالَ فَمَا رَبُّكُمَا يَا Musa. Pharaoh said, then who is the Rabb of you too, O Musa? قَالَ رَبُّنَا الَّذِي أَعْطَى كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلْقَهُ ثُمَّ هَدَى. He replied, our Rabb is he who granted each thing its creation, then guided it. قَالَ فَمَا بَالُ الْقُرُونِ الْأُولَى. Pharaoh said, then what about the previous generations? قَالَ إِلْمُهَا إِنْدَ رَبِّي فِي كِتَابٍ لَا يَزِلُّ رَبِّي وَلَا يَنْسَى. Verse number is 52. Musa alayhi salam said, the knowledge of them is with my Rabb in the book. My Rabb does not err, nor does he forget. الذي جعل لكم الأرض مهدا وسلك لكم فيها سبلا وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به أزواجا من نبات شتى. My Rabb is he who made the earth a bedding for you, made roads for you and sent water from the sky. Then we extracted by this rain various species of plants for you. كلوا وارعوا أنعامكم إن في ذلك لآيات لأولي النهى. Eat and graze your animals. There are certainly signs in this for the intelligent. منها خلقناكم وفيها نعيدكم ومنها نخرجكم تارة أخرى. We have created you from it. The earth shall return you to it and will extract you from it a second time. When Hazrat Musa preached to Pharaoh, the haughty king began to make various absurd statements. Some are mentioned here and other are mentioned in Surah Shura, verses 18 to 34. Pharaoh claimed, I am your Rabb, the Most High. Therefore, when Hazrat Musa told him to accept Allah, Pharaoh said before the gathering of his courtiers, then who is the Rabb of you too, O Musa? In response to his question, Hazrat Musa replied, Our Rabb is He who granted each thing in its creation. Allah fashioned everything as He pleased and granted them the limbs and capabilities that He willed and guided it, that is, Allah granted everything the understanding and faculties to ascertain what is beneficial and what is detrimental to it. This object is too vast to be discussed here as it keeps expanding as one thinks deeper. It is only Allah that teaches a little infant to suck when given the mother's breast. Only He teaches that little chicken to run for a grain of food and teaches an animal to care for its young. Allah has not granted hands to the animals because they do not really require them. Allah has granted the spider the ability to secure its food by spinning a web. The lizard has to merely approach a light to eat the multitude of insects attracted there. Allah has been allowed them to be able to walk upside down on a ceiling to do this. Allah teaches the goats to lick their young clean and teaches the hen to remain with her eggs until they hatch. It is only Allah who teaches cats to eat mice but never to put their mouths to a scorpion. There are millions of other such examples. Another interpretation of the verse is that Allah created mankind and then sent the Anbiya salam and the divine scriptures to guide them. Pharaoh said, then what about the previous generations? That is, what has become of them after their destruction? Musa said, the knowledge of them is with my Rabb in the book, the Lawhil Mahfuz. My Rabb does not err, nor does He forget. Allah will grant them all their just retribution in the hereafter without error. Further describing Allah's attribution, Hazrat Musa said, Him who made the earth a bedding for you, made roads for you, and sent water from the sky. Hazrat Musa wished to impress upon Pharaoh's mind that he has no say in all these affairs and can therefore never be Allah. Allah Himself continues from the speech of Hazrat Musa. Allah says, then we extracted by this rain various species of plants for you. Eat and graze your animals. There are certainly signs in this for the intelligent. The Arabic word naha is a verb that means to prevent. The word nuha, translated above as intelligence, is derived from this verb. Then denotes something that prevents one from evil. Therefore, a person whose intelligence does not prevent him from evil cannot be called an intelligent person, irrespective of what people say. Even the commonly used Arabic word akal, intelligence, refers to something that keeps a person away from evil and vice. We have created you from it, from the earth shall return to do it, and will extract you from it a second time on the day of Qiyamah. Allah says in Surah Mursalat, have we not made the earth a collector of the living and the dead? verses are 25 and 26. Wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma ighfir li muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.